Hi everyone, welcome back to the garden. And I'm so happy to be out here. We just went through 6 solid days of 43 Celsius degree weather, which is about 104 Fahrenheit. And I haven't been out to the garden literally in 6 days. And we did come out twice in the evening, though, like literally closer to dark than sunlight. And we did come out and pick some tomatoes and peppers because they had to be picked. And I haven't been out here since. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a garden tour, but quite honestly, it is just a mess. And the other thing is, I'm spending quite a bit of time in the kitchen. So I come out, get what I need, and I go back in. So this is real life. You're going to see what my garden looks like almost mid-September. And my priorities right now are just in the kitchen. And there, I still find some beauty in it. But anyway, so I'm starting here in the beans because the beans have been finished for a really long time. And I've left the plants here because I want the I left a lot of beans on the plants because I want to save the seed. But what I've realized is not a lot of them have dried out. Some have, but they're still very green. There's a few that have dried, and even still, they're still quite wet. We've had a lot of rain. So what I did last year was I picked some plants. I have them all sectioned off by the variety of what I'm growing. I'm going to take some of the plants, I hang them upside down in the barn, let the whole plant dry off like that, and then I can pick the bean pods right off. So that's what I'm going to do today because I'm going to run out of season in the garden for them to dry out, and I always save my seeds. So I'm going to go through, pick a few good plants that have the most beans on them, and I'll sort them out. I'm just so happy to be out here. It's been for so long. And I'll give you a tour of other things that aren't doing so well, but we still have plenty of things that are. And I'm just so happy to be out here with you today. I've been in the kitchen so much with you that I figured a change of pace was in order. And let's just go around and see what's happening. I wanted to show you this marigold. This whole plant here, which even comes all the way over here, all of this is one plant from a seed that I saved from last year and probably the year before that and the year before that. This is one big plant, and it's so big that it's breaking off in parts because it's just so big. So I highly encourage you, try and save your flower seeds, especially marigolds. It couldn't be easier. Their seeds are so big. Nothing that you see on our homestead flower wise have I bought. Everything is from Save Seed from years. I just continue doing it over and over. It is so easy. And look what I have just from one seed or one plant, I guess. It's incredible. It's just amazing to me. So every time you see a flower anywhere, it's because I saved the seed and I've planted it here. It just amazes me. This is huge. I can't get my arms from one side to the other. So I haven't saved anything yet because nothing has really dried up yet. Perhaps a few zinnias, but I'll wait a wee bit longer. So here's my celery that the second time I cut it all back, it did a bit better, but overall I would consider this a fail for the summer because even the second time or probably the third time I cut it back, most of it came back hollow. I did get a few good ones a couple of weeks ago, and there are still a few good ones here, but overall I'd have to say this was an epic fail. It was a new seed company again that I tried. I don't know what the issue was. They were watered well, they were fertilized well, and they just didn't do well. So The chickens have been benefiting from it, but I think they're even fed up from it. And then right beside that, I'll show you in a sec, I tried a fall planting of beets and they didn't do well, but I used seed from last year and I don't know if that was the issue or not. A few little beets come up, but nothing to speak of. And I'm not terribly upset about it because I didn't need beets as far as canning them. I just wanted to try some pickle beets, but that was twice I tried beets this year and they didn't come up, so maybe the seed was old. It was only from last year and it was from Baker Creek. I thought, look at this Swiss chard. I can't believe it. It's almost as tall as me. Well, not quite, but it's just been fantastic. And this is year-old seed from Baker Creek. And at first I thought, oh, I didn't plant enough. Well, clearly I did because we've been eating and eating it. The chickens have been eating it constantly, and it just keeps giving. It's the rainbow chard. It is dense. It is healthy. And honestly, I've been ignoring it lately. I haven't done much to it other than water it every once in a while or let the rain do the job for me. But it is so healthy and beautiful. And there's just so much of it, but it's so beautiful. I just love it. And it's like huge. So this is a win-win-win. Absolutely gorgeous. Beside it here, I have some kale that I grow specifically for the kitchens. I'm saying I'm allergic to it because every time I eat it, I end up sick, sick, sick. So I grow it specifically for the chickens, and every day they get a little bit of it. So that's why that's there. And I'll swing you over there and show you what's happening. But I love my Swiss chard. Oh, sorry, sometimes I just have to sit. So here we just pulled up some carrots last week. And these here are parsnips that I planted midsummer, but just to fill in the space. And I don't think well, there's a little bit there. But you can leave them up till the frost. And in between, I planted some Brussels sprouts, and the package said plant midsummer for a fall harvest. But I mean, they're not doing much at all, and they've gotten eaten by some of the bugs, and some of it looks like it's actually bolting. So this part of the bed really didn't do well, and I planted tons of parsnip. I seeded it twice, and that's all that came up. That was from Baker Creek, and that was a last year seed as well, but I seeded it twice. So the theme this year was seed 2 or 3 times and see what you get. So here too, I did a row of Brussels sprouts, and these ones are doing worse than what I just showed you in that garden bed. But worst comes to worst, the chickens get it, and they love anything in the brassica family to eat. But see what I mean about all these flowers? All grown from seed. I started them in the house to do the starts, and then they just blessed me with all these flowers. So let's go see some pumpkins. This was is a Cinderella pumpkin that I grew, and that I got 3 on the plant. This guy and another one over there, but I don't know if they got cross-pollinated because they don't look very Cinderella-ish. This one's a beautiful one, but the chickens and the ducks keep finding their way in here, so they've pecked at them quite a bit. But I do have some, these are just sugar pie ones that they haven't found yet. So I have one there, over here, and then there's a couple of green ones back there. So I will have something. And here's a gigantic watermelon. We only had 2 this year. And it's nice and big. Sorry, I'm going to try and get over here. It's huge. It sounds hollow, but it's not getting like that trademark white bottoms, the bottom where it's supposed to get white. So I don't know whether to pick it or not. I'm trying to see the stem is still green, but it's been the same size since forever. But I know you're supposed to look for that white spot on the bottom, but I don't know whether to pick it. We picked one already and it turned out pretty good. Look at this pink zinnia. All the zinnias. I say each one's my favorite, but I mean, it's just gorgeous. This is my poor herb garden. It's just a mess. I'm still harvesting the herbs, but these marigolds I let get out of control. These wildflowers I planted. I mean, it's still beautiful with all the flowers, but hidden in here are my herbs. There's a lemon thyme, and I've taken most of the basil by now. There's a bunch of herbs in there, I promise. Here's some rosemary. But I just, like I said, have been in the kitchen, or I truly can't deal with the heat and humidity, so I've been hibernating. So it's kind of embarrassing, but it's just the state of how things are right now. And right beside it, we planted some lettuce for the fall, and it did come up. I'm really happy about it, but look at the weeds. I have to come out here and weed. It's iceberg lettuce, I think. The weeds are just horrific. Here's the other zucchini plant that's still giving us zucchinis. We picked a huge one yesterday. There's another little guy growing here. And then these are the Mad Hatter peppers that just go bonkers. And we're finally getting red paprikas. There's tons of green ones, but none of them had turned red. And now they are. So the peppers have been amazing. You'll see later on today I'm going to work with my peppers, and it's just been incredible. Now the tomato plants, the tomatoes, again, amazing. The plants, well, not so much, but they're still holding on to let all these tomatoes turn red. Except all the ones at the bottom, either I have to pick them right away, or the ducks and chickens eat all the ones that they can reach. The fencing we have was to keep wild prey animals out, but it's our own animals that are causing the damage. So next year we definitely have to work on better fencing. And these are those pepperonchis that I didn't think had much flavor, but we've been letting some of them turn red, and they're much sweeter when they're red. So that's been a plus. Here's a view in between the two tomato rows. So again, still lots of tomatoes, but the poor plants have seen better days. But they're literally hanging on, letting all these tomatoes ripen. I can't believe how many tomatoes we have. I'm so, so happy. It's allowed me to do all my canning projects and then some. And this is the biggest cherry tomato I've ever seen in my life. This starts here and goes all the way over here. And I did prune it many, many times. Then it just got to the point where I said, let it go. It's a sweetie tomato. And I think I'll have one right now. Mm, we could pick on this all day long. There's so many. So this was my experiment with putting potatoes here, all down there and around the corner. I took a video a week or so ago. I'll try and insert it here where you can see it better, of just putting the potatoes right on the grass and straw on top. And the vines are finally dying back. And I'd probably harvest them soon, but yesterday we had so much rain that it would be just silly to do it today or tomorrow because everything's going to be soaking wet. So I'll let them dry off a bit, but I'm so excited to get them all, see what's there. You never know with your root vegetables. And all down here and even around the corner, this is all beside the tomatoes. And yes, I know you don't plant potatoes beside tomatoes, but this was an experiment. And I planted all these potatoes. It's probably over 100. I don't know. I just threw one whole huge bag. I just put them on the grass, right on the grass, threw straw over it, and they grew phenomenally. So they're not ready to harvest yet. They've been taking quite their time. They all flowered, but if my experiment works out, we're hoping for another great potato harvest. I really hope it works because the vines did really well. So they're taking their time dying off. I might cheat a little and just pick at one plant and see. And hidden between all those grasses and weeds are sweet potatoes. I've never, ever, ever had luck with sweet potatoes. But I tried again this year and I've actually bought plants. They weren't even starts, they were sweet potato plants and they weren't cheap. But I thought I'd try it. And I think there's 3 or 4 plants here. So I don't know. I know the vines aren't as big as they should be. I did the roost out message with them. And in that planter box there are more sweet potatoes. So fingers crossed they turn out good. We did a fall planting of broccoli and cabbage back there. I had no more cauliflower seeds. I don't know how that happened. And I don't know how they survived that heat wave we just had. But they're also getting eaten terribly by the cabbage worm. And I was going to put the row covers on them, but in that heat, I thought it was just going to make them melt even more. But I have this spray, it's OMRI approved, and I'm going to try that because they're really getting eaten. But today the temperatures are better, and this week it looks like it's going to be more comfortable. So if this spray doesn't work, I'm going to put the row covers on. They're not growing as much as I thought they would, but we're giving it a try because we didn't have the best spring harvest. So we'll see if this spray helps and give them some more fertilizer. It's the first time really doing a really solid effort of a fall planting. So here's the cabbage, and then the broccolis are all here. So I'm going to go around spraying them and hope that that works. So all in all, I still see and love all the beauty, and it's still giving tremendously. And I'm so happy to be outside again. I just do not get along with that weather. So I'm going to put her out here for a little while longer and maybe do a bit of harvesting. These guys are getting a little bit of sun damage, so I'm going to pick them now before they turn fully red. I'd rather get them before anything else happens. See right there, it's starting to get a bit of sun damage. I even have a stake in this plant, but the weight of it, all the peppers on it, is pulling it over. Oops. Not quite red. See, these one too have all sun damage, but I'll just cut that off and use the other side. Not going to waste it. And the chickens and ducks, none of them like peppers. I've tried. That's sun damage. But that one just fell off. That one's perfect. Frank just found a couple of potato plants that we forgot to harvest. And look at the size of these guys. What was that, 2, 3 plants? Whoa. Those are really nice. They were kind of hidden by the hay and the weeds. Bonus potatoes. Well, look at that. A total surprise. We found a few extra random potato plants hidden under extra hay and weeds. They may even be volunteers from last year, although I don't think we grew any reds last year, so that was a very happy surprise. Well, I didn't bring any string out with me right now to tie them up, but what I am going to do is just pull the plant so it stops like growing or being alive in the ground, and this way it'll start to die off. So see, there's still lots of green beans on here, and those will dry out and give me my seed potatoes. Gosh, my seed beans for next year. Man, I could almost harvest some of these, but some of them have turned yellow. So this here is Canter. Then I have Provider and Strike down there. See, when they get to this stage, this is a good dry bean. And then inside are all my, oops, now I'm dropping them. Then I have my bean seeds for next year. I'm sorry, I can't really see into the camera because the sun is so bright. Can you see that? So these ones are perfect already. So these are Provider. So these ones I'll already hold on to. Put them in my pocket. I have the sun directly behind me, so it's really hard to see. But we pulled this carrot bed well over a month ago. And I guess we didn't get every single one of them because I don't know if you can see, but there's all little carrots growing again. They won't do anything this year, but they're all little carrot sprouts everywhere. This is where I planted 2 packets of wild flower mix seeds, and they turned out absolutely gorgeous, but some of them got really tall and bendy. So there were some cosmos in there, zinnias, some I couldn't identify, but all kinds of flowers that brought in extra pollinators, but they got really too big for the place that I put them in. So I will get them again, but I'll choose a much better spot for them for next year. So this was just a little September tour of the garden. There's really not that much to see anymore. It's looking a little neglected, mainly on my part because of the weather the past week, and also because I spend most of my time in the kitchen right now because of the heat. The house is air conditioned, outside isn't. But because I have a lot to preserve right now, and it's not a complaint by any means. I love to do it. It's a passion, it's a labor of love, and I have all what to preserve because of all of this. So I still have things to do, but it's not like in the spring and the summer where you're constantly having to maintain and fertilize, and things are slowly dying off in that. And when we put the garden to bed, I like to do it much further into the fall in the cooler weather when things are kind of all died like at the same time. So I don't have to do certain things over and over. I'd rather do it all over the course of a few days in much cooler weather. I'll do a lot more seed saving and stuff like that. But today was just kind of show you what it looks like. We're still getting tons of things like the peppers, the tomatoes, potatoes, things like that. But once again, it's getting quite hot out here, so I'm going to head back inside, and I have a big pepper project to work on today. And I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you spending time with me. I'm glad to be back out in the garden with you. And until we're together again, take care. Sometimes I feel like the luckiest girl in the world.